Hello, welcome to Connect 2010 podcast series. And today we have Mohanjit Jolly, who is partner and MD with DFJ. It's one of the best and global VC firms. So the entire theme of the conference is around ICT. And in India, somewhere I feel there's a dearth of tech startups. Why is that?
Well, I think two ways to answer that question. One is the numbers of entrepreneurs and the quality of entrepreneurs is actually increasing. So in an absolute, so you can look at it in either absolute terms or relative terms. In absolute terms, if you compare India or parts of India to more sophisticated tech economies, then yes, you'll be disappointed. But if you look at it in relative terms, in terms of where things were, let's say a couple of years ago, and where things are now, there is a noticeable difference. So that's the way I would start. That I think India is moving and is moving in the right direction. Second, the way to catalyze tech entrepreneurship is to have budding entrepreneurs see success. So now with Make My Trip, Just Dial, 197, Vibrant, I mean there are a dozen folks who are either public or soon looking to go public. Once that happens, I think you'll see a flurry of activity on the tech side. Second, DFJ is a big consumer media investor, right? So we have companies like ClearTrip and 70mm and so on. But I think now we're seeing, yes, broadband penetration is still not there, but internet usage is moving up very nicely, right? So depending on who you talk to, the number is somewhere between 50 million on the low side to 100 million on the high side. Now that means we're getting to a critical mass where you'll start seeing interesting companies. And right now we have a very healthy funnel where I am actually very impressed with the quality of entrepreneurs, the fact that they're thinking big, which has been one of my pet peeves in India, is people simply don't seem to think that big. They're happy being at a certain level in family lifestyle business, and that's it. But now that thinking is starting to change. So when you see companies like Flipkarts and so on, I think you will start seeing more and more of that tech entrepreneurship start to happen here.
So it's all about the vision to seeing billions and billions of dollars.
Again, as somebody pointed out earlier in the conference, see, money should not be the driving force. I think if you see a problem and solve that problem in a meaningful way, where the customer is willing to pay you for that product or service, and you can scale that, money will come, right? So that should not necessarily be the driving force. The driving force should be impact. If you make an impact, if you actually offer something that is of value, right, and it's easy to use and consume and so on, I think people are willing to pay, even in the most price-conscious country in the world, which is India. And I say that if you can make a company successful in India, you can make it successful anywhere on the solar system. Right. So, but the fact of the matter is, if you think big, if you actually provide value where somebody is willing to pay for it, I think that's you can create a large business. But don't let the monetary aspect really be the driving force behind it.
So coming to the monetary aspect, you are also at Hush Power System Patna.
Yes.
So Ganesh and his team, how he's leading the Hush Power System, that has added actually a value to the entire rural entrepreneurship, a new thing that is coming up. So how do you seeing the scene of rural and social entrepreneurship booming in India? People from SB coming into India, investing in rural startups, social startups.
See, we right now have 3 companies in our portfolio, which either directly or indirectly either get impacted by or impact the rural diaspora. Okay? So we have a company called Delight Design,
yes, sir,
which does solar lanterns, right? Money. So second is Husk Power, which of course is bringing electricity to rural villages. And third one is a company called mCheck, which is a mobile payment platform, which again is working with banks and the rural bottom of the pyramid to see how they can go and have an impact where there isn't actually cash that's changing hands. And it's amazing. I talked to one lady actually outside of Bangalore in a village where we're doing a pilot, and she said, the fundamental difference that this technology has made now is that my husband doesn't beat me and he doesn't spend money on alcohol. Because she would get cash, and by the time she got home the cash was gone, etc. Now she can pay, she can actually deposit cash or withdraw cash and have it be on her phone, so it's not a physical form. So that level of impact is absolutely is absolutely phenomenal. So that is an area of focus for us, and we're learning from these early companies who are obviously in the trenches making a difference. But I think just simply given the masses, given the volumes that you're talking about in that space, I think there will be fantastic billion-dollar businesses created. I mean, you're seeing it in the microfinance side now, but just wait and watch. Whether it's micro malls, it's healthcare, it's education, it's retail, it's telecom, it's banking, financial services, other financial services. I think all that will just skyrocket over the next, let's say 5-year time frame. So that is something that, and actually the companies that I met with this morning in Chennai are actually in that space. So they're definitely targeting the rural masses.
Coming to a very interesting aspect, like I also have a couple of friends who have ideas, but before the ideation stage is just going to the funding phase, whether I'll get a funding or not. So reading into your mind as a VC or as an investor, what do you see in an idea in a company?
See, all VCs, whether they're on the early stage side or the late stage private equity side, make their decision based on 4 fundamental concepts. First and foremost, everybody said on the panel, it's about team. I call it the 3 T's and the M. There's a team. Second is a technology. Technology is sort of a moniker or proxy for what's different, what's unique, what is something that you can do that others cannot, or what edge do you have that's a significant competitive advantage. Right? The third is traction. Traction meaning what validation do you have, either from paying customers, partners, even employees if you don't have revenue or anything, or advisors who are willing to lend you brand credibility, their name, to say, I believe in what these guys are doing. So that traction, that validation has to be there. And then finally, the market. The market has to be large for you to become a significant player. And if that's not the case, then large funds like DFJ don't have an interest, right? Because simply put, I think a lot of entrepreneurs miss doing some fundamental math before they approach venture capitalists. And the fundamental math is as follows. If you're dealing with a fund that is several $100 million in size, my partnership and I are driven to make that current, let's say $350 million fund into $1 billion plus fund. For that $1 billion return to be recognized, and given the fact that we will own some minority stake in these companies as and when they exit, and given the fact that of the overall portfolio, N number will fail completely, N number will maybe return our money, and only a few will actually be successful. Those few have to return that entire $1 billion. So we have to think, okay, rule of thumb for me is I want to be able to put in, let's say, $5 to $10 million into a company, and I want to get $50 to $100 million out. That's the rule of thumb. Now, if you cannot build a hypothesis in your mind that you can be, let's say, a 200 plus or 300 plus $1 million enterprise value company, and we will own, let's say, 20% of that or whatever it is, that means that's $40 million to us or $50 million. You should not be approaching the large VCs. Now that can vary because there are smaller VCs where they'll put in $1 million and they'll say, I'll put in $1 million, I'll get 10 million out, I'm happy with that. For me to put in $1 million, get 10 million out doesn't even get a pat on my back, right? So scale and size matters even when you're approaching a VC. Now to your question, we have funded complete ideation companies. 2 guys, business plan, passion, belief in making something happen. A perfect example is a company called Atero, which is in the electronic waste recycling business. We and another fund, Indo-US Ventures, seeded these guys with $6 million. And it was seed funding, but it was $6 million seed funding, which by itself is a very large sum. But when you think about the business they're in, they have to acquire land, they have to put in machinery, they have to get it up and running. 250,000, 500,000, $1 million wasn't going to get them anywhere, right? So they had to get 6. So that was a roll of a dice. 2 guys, passionate, saying we're putting a life savings into this. We believe in it so strongly, and that's what venture business is all about. Venture capitalists are not bankers, which we tend to act like sometimes. Venture capitalism is all about taking risks and expecting high rewards. And time will tell whether that works for us in India, but overall it's worked for DFJ over the past 25 years extremely well.
So what's your final piece of advice for the budding entrepreneurs, the budding people who want to get into the business?
I think just take risk, think big. Go and talk to as many smart people as you possibly can, both those who succeeded and those who failed, because you learn as much from those who failed as from those who succeeded. And just go ahead and do it, like Nike said, just do it.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Nice talking to you.